Good afternoon, Calgary. Welcome to the 22nd edition of the No Payne podcast. Today, we have our friend John from Prep and Sell. John, how you doing?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, great. We're enjoying the new setup, and I think you're the first official guest outside of No Payne itself here in the podcast.
Feel honored.
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, you're the first one.
St. Patrick's Day on top of that.
Yeah, it is St. Patrick's Day, and none of us are wearing green.
Well, we
I
got
noticed.
lots of green on the walls, and so.
Yeah, well, that'll do what we can. We got enough green, though, I think. We got a lot of fake plants around here. That's not too bad. That'll help. Yeah, that'll help. No doubt about it. Sorry, we got a little bit taken aback by the barking dog, but hey, something we're trying to control, I guess, having to cater to the dog in different ways, I guess, every podcast. Gets too excited with everything being here. It's all part of it, yeah. It creates the vibe. Speaking of vibe, as soon as you came down here, you said it had a rock and roll vibe in this basement.
It did.
Yeah,
it did.
coming through.
I felt like I was going to an underground club somewhere, so all the posters on the wall kind of took me back to my party days, which are long gone. But
long gone. Well, hey, well, there's always a good opportunity around the corner. You just have to be ready for it. There's a lot of local shows in town, actually, as well.
Yeah, it's good.
We're
kind of climbing out of this pandemic. I think everybody's ready to rock. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, John. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about Prep and Sell? I mean, the origins, I suppose. The floor is yours.
Sure. So Prep and Sell is I am a franchisee, first one in Calgary. It was originated in Toronto. A gentleman by the name of David Collier. He had a franchise called Fabric Care, so it was a carpet cleaning franchise that was nationwide. They did upholstery and carpet cleaning. They sold products to attack stains, and he developed a clientele of realtors that they started talking and said, you do such a good job with this, it'd be sure nice if you had a handyman that could come in and do that, or we had a painter that could do that, so I could just call you. And a light bulb went off in his head, and Prep and Sell was born. So that was about 20 years ago.
Right. Okay.
So he just had his own company in the Toronto area, and I think about 6 years ago they decided to franchise it. So they went to Oakville. He had a Mississauga franchise, and then a gentleman in Vancouver took one on, so it became a national franchise. So there's one in Port Coquitlam. We just fired up in Winnipeg. There's all the other smaller communities in Ontario, like Oshawa, Windsor.
Okay.
So I'm the first guy in Calgary. Was looking for something different and unique a couple of years ago.
Right.
Thought it kind of ticked all the right boxes for what aligned with my interests, and be my own boss and help people out. So,
well, I noticed that actually when I was researching the company, just a bit of a start your own franchise type company, just giving people opportunities to help the company to expand into areas to where they haven't yet been.
Yeah,
give people an opportunity to be a part of the team.
Yeah. You can work out of your own house. So that's where my office is my basement bunker, similar to this. So
right.
We travel and do consultations similar to what a roofing company would do, and we put forward a proposal to help them with whatever problem that they need solved that has to do with their house. Our business model is the real estate community. We seek to get referrals from them to their clients. So a lot of times we validate what they're trying to tell their clients. Look, if you want to sell your home, these are some of the things that you should look at. And we got someone that might be able to come in and help you.
So after the consultations, are you usually doing the primary inspection during the consultation, or are you rescheduling and coming back for inspection purposes, things like that?
Well, there's the home inspector. So we're not home inspectors, but we will resolve the problems that the home inspector will find that may impact a sale condition.
Sorry, John. Obviously, this dog has been interrupting the podcast.
He wants to jump in.
A bit of a nuisance, I'd say. You should take the dog outside and put her outside. That would probably be the best thing. Put her on a wide-angle shot, and we'll just entertain our guests the way we do. Yeah, sorry for anybody watching if that's been extremely loud or not. It's hard to say. Some people had commented
Well,
said you can't hear it.
Well, that's part of my consultations is you got to be ready for everything.
Oh,
and
yeah,
quite
I've
often
had-
there's
yeah.
dogs and cats, and they're part of the house. So
Yeah, of course. I mean, dogs not normally like that, but you start to get strangers in the
they're-
house and things, and like we're in
Yeah.
a different room, and yet there they are, just
yeah.
going crazy.
They want
But,
to know. They're excited. They want to be part of the action. So
Yeah.
I got one of them too. So
Well,
I know what it's like.
apologize, John, and the audience.
No
And
problem.
Mike too. We're gonna get that under control. I promise you that. So you were just explaining about the consultation process. I had asked if the inspections were part of the consultation. You meant, or you had explained how the home inspector comes by usually before that consultation.
No,
or
not
afterwards?
always. Generally, most real estate agents they're pretty savvy. They know what a house needs. Typically, and most times they'll come up with a laundry list of items. But if I can add to that, if I see anything, and we almost always do find
Right.
one or two items that just kind of catch my eye, things that we see. Really, what we try to do when we walk through the front door is we like to put ourselves in the shoes of the buyer. Like, what is the buyer gonna see?
Yeah,
and
of
what's
course.
gonna turn them off, and what's gonna make them turn around and go to the next house. So we don't want that to happen. So we're advocates for the house. So I take my clipboard and my checklist, and you go from room to room and you make a list. And then what we'll do is we'll go back home and we'll get with my contractors like No Payne Roofing and other people, and we'll say, okay, I'll put together a proposal, and here's a list of items that we can do for you. We'll
Right.
put a cost estimate together, and we work with them. Everybody's got a budget, and some things are needs, some things are wants. It's like everything else, and at the end of the day, we'll come in with our people and we'll help them out, and help get the for sale sign on the lot. It's a peace of mind thing for the real estate agent and the buyer. Is okay, we're ready to sell. And when the inspectors come in as well, like the buyer's inspector is going to be looking for certain things, so it's kind of a peace of mind that we've kind of knocked a few things off the list.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I could expect there to be quite a variety of repairs that could be done to obviously improve
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
appearance of the home,
Yeah.
not to mention the functionality of the home itself.
You got her. Yeah.
So how I mean, to what extent are you able to repair? Like, I mean, when it comes to say plumbing issues, or say there's like a furnace that has issues, I'm just curious as to like how in depth you can get with some of the repairs that you guys do.
Well, it's all about your network of trades.
Right. Okay.
Most handymen can handle a wide amount of tasks, but I mean, that's up to me to gauge the abilities of this person. I'll never, you learn never to set someone up to fail.
Yeah.
And that's
of
my
course.
job to gauge that. Roofing is a primary example. Whenever you're messing with the roof, when there's issues of water, you could have water damage, or it's just something that not every handyman can do, which is why I like to work with you guys. And I tell the homeowners, we're affiliated with trades that are good at what they do.
Right.
We're not going to put lipstick on a pig. Our integrity is everything. We have a 1-year guarantee after we leave, so we want to make sure it's done right. And we'll turn down work if somebody's asking us to do something that compromises their integrity. So
Right.
That's just part of the game.
Yeah, of course.
But you're right. Every house is different. Every house has different needs. You have certain price points. Some are high end, some are low end, and you just have to kind of gauge each as a project and budget accordingly and put a plan that suits that house. Right now, for example, the market is hot. Like, houses are sitting on the market. I was in a nice 1926 bungalow, charming house. It had 3 offers in 24 hours, so there's really not much we can offer to help except for let's keep the home inspector happy. Let's make sure
Right.
the house doesn't burn down, or nobody electrocutes themselves, or there's no leaking, water
course.
issues or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
so for
we spend
property-
a lot of time doing that. So
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, for a
Yeah.
property to have that many offers in such a short amount of time, clearly, I mean, there must have, other than staying on top of maintenance and, satiating the inspector, I guess that home
Yeah.
must have been in pretty good condition then.
It was, but every home, I mean, if it was my home, I'm going to go in and I would have probably done $100,000 worth of work to it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I understand.
But people just need the house because there's not enough supply, so they're willing to pay once they get in the house. But hopefully that's where we can help too. You know, we help people on the way out. You know, nothing to say the same group of people can't come in and help them on the way in. So it's a double effect for us. So if they like what we did to help them sell, you know, that return phone call is really nice to get. So
yeah, of course. Of course. So I'm a little curious. So from what I'm getting, it seems like you are subcontracting some of the work, some of the repairs that need to be done. For example, say if the roof needed replacement.
Yes.
I'm assuming, or I shouldn't assume, but I'm guessing that you guys maybe don't have a prep and sell roofing crew itself.
No,
like an
so
in-house.
that's the business model. So
Right.
so you have our competitors like you know, good companies like Mr. Handyman, but
Right.
they have an employee-based model where they have company vehicles and they have their own, you know, tools that they supply. We're a little different. We employ subcontractors and tradesmen and people that have their own numbered companies, but they want to still be their own boss. So
Right.
we like it when they're busy. You know, like my handyman, I tell him, go get other work and we'll fit your schedule. You know, I have a job. And if he's busy, then, you know, handyman number 2 or 3. And we'll fit the right people to suit each job. Some work isn't necessarily as complex as others. And the homeowners like that too, because I can price it accordingly. It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, of course.
If it's an easy slam dunk, go out and clean up a bunch of junk in the backyard, well, you know, you don't want to charge somebody $125 an hour for that. We're
Right.
not out there to, you know, to price ourselves out of the market. So
Yeah, I understand. So I assume that there would be quite the, maybe not interview process, but you'd obviously be sure to hire the
yeah, we'd have
the
to
right crews.
vet the guys, definitely do
Yeah, of
reference
course.
checks and
reference checks, look at their
yeah.
track record.
yeah.
Right on.
My franchisor, he says, go on the job site, meet them there.
Yeah, go
Like if you're-
find them
like
while
like
they're
a
working.
painter is a primary example. Like, you know, believe it or not, there's bad painters out there.
Yeah.
guys that don't use drop cloths and they don't
Yeah.
think it's their job to clean up their workspace, and it's just like, you know, that's 1/3 of your job as a painter. Like,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
1/3 is prep, 1/3 is cleanup, and only 1/3 is the actual painting.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if you can't prep and clean up, you're not a painter. So, but it's surprising how much you gotta vet these guys to get the guys that are suitable to be in the homes of my clients. So,
Of course, I could
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
it could be difficult, to find or a painter worth its salt, I suppose.
especially when it's busy, for sure.
Right, they're rushing through
yeah.
jobs, they're trying to get things done as fast as
Yeah.
possible, and they might not be paying enough attention to the cleanup and the prep work
You
in
got
order
it.
to deliver, quality product. I don't know if I would.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
it's just pride,
Yeah, of
pride
course.
pride
right.
of doing the job, and probably
those-
what they've been allowed to get away with in the past. So,
Of course. Well, yeah, the same rules would apply to a roofing company.
Oh,
for
for sure.
example, I mean, when you have as much debris to deal with, to
Mhm.
dispose of as a roofing crew would, I mean, being sure to minimize debris in the yard, debris left over in the gutters, things like that. Sometimes you're pulling skylights off, right? There's potential for debris to fall
Yeah.
into the home. Debris control is a huge part of the game. And just like with painters having to use drop cloths to minimize cleanup and prevent damage, I mean, that same rule applies to many trades, obviously.
Well, professionalism with a roofer. I had
yeah.
a client say they have the right safety harnesses and ladders, and I go, well, they're a professional roofing company. I sure as heck hope so, but for their own safety. But there are guys that will walk up on a roof, a steep roof, and it makes the homeowner nervous, and they see that if he's compromising his own safety and he doesn't have the right tools, well, what kind of job is he going to do on the actual repair?
Of course, that's a sensible way to gauge. I mean, I guess the reliability of a crew, and I mean their capabilities as
For
well.
sure.
Because if safety is secondary to them, I mean, what's more important than safety, really? I mean, you're on a steep roof, like you mentioned, and without the safety equipment, how are you able to perform, quality work without having to, performing this quality work, but simultaneously compromising your safety? It's a balance that's important to keep, and it's often where we find crews all over the city. I'll be driving down, I'll be heading to consultations or interviews, or inspections myself, and see roofing crews, sometimes 6, 7, 8 guys on a steep roof, just nothing but a tool belt around their waist, and
It makes me nervous.
yeah, well, I went through a pretty intense accident myself. I fell off a roof once, and to see other crews up there, working without the safety equipment.
Is that a prerequisite of a roofer? Everybody has to fall off a roof once. It's like a guy that works in a drilling rig has to lose a thumb. Or
Well, you definitely learn a few things the hard way. I mean, I had always been on top of my safety. 99.9% of the time, as has the rest of the company and crews, but complacency, becomes an issue, and you feel comfortable and take your rope off, and then one wrong move and you could be dead meat. So until you really have those kind of scares, or until you really kind of just shock yourself in a way, it's hard to remind yourself constantly to work safe. But luckily for us, with the owner, Mike Payne, he's on top of safety. It's a necessity for him and for us, to fill out the safety documents before every job,
right?
To do the safety checks on all of our safety equipment and our tools, to be sure that no injuries could happen. If someone was to fall, if your rope is in poor condition, it could snap theoretically, right? So we've always been right on top of that. And as you said yourself, safety should be a top priority, and some companies just don't.
An example is a painting company. I get a painter, and these vaulted ceilings, especially in stairwells. Well, I'm always paying attention. Are these guys, what are they doing? Are they good with the extension brushes? Are they, or exactly how do they get up there? So I ask those questions because homeowner doesn't want ambulance coming to their house.
Yeah, no doubt. And those stairwells, like you can have a 12-foot drop, from the ceiling for sure. So working at heights, people think of roofers initially, but painters are part of that game as well.
Well, electricians,
siding, installations,
you name it. So, I'm thinking just around a panel. You talk about getting the right tradesman. Anytime we're around a panel, that's when I go, okay, time to get my electrical guy here, because that's just something that, it's code. We're going to get the right people on the job. Sometimes it's hard for the clients to understand that, but you're selling a house and we're delivering a product with our guarantee, and we got to have the right people that are, specialized and certified with that area. There's certain things that handymen aren't certified to do. Same thing with plumbing. We can do rough plumbing. We can work with faucets and certain things like that, but there's just some things that you have to have the plumber, and it's,
of course, yeah.
So that's what we do. We just put everything together and get the team assembled, and away we go. Hopefully everybody's happy at the end of the day. So
from what I've gathered, customers seem to be very satisfied after Prep and Sell has been around. Well, I've read reviews online, and from what I gather, you guys are good at what you do.
Well, you do learn. The first there's a couple hiccups along the way there. You learn from your mistakes, but it makes you better at what you do. One thing about being part of a national franchise, you can bounce ideas off of the other guys. Did you ever encounter this situation? What did you do? So, there's continual training and coaching. I can't always draw off my own experiences because there's always a curve gets thrown at you, but it's comforting to know there's always someone else that's been there. So,
of course, yeah.
The other things that we have is we have good suppliers that are part of our team. We are a Sherwin-Williams company.
Right.
So I'm always amazed at the products that those guys can deliver us, the quality and just the advice you get. what kind of paint would you advise us to put here? So paint is a big thing in our business. Almost all of our jobs involve painting of some kind.
Yeah, I
so,
could imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of cosmetic stuff. People in the homes, you talk about the buyer, what he wants to see is he doesn't want to see wall dings. He doesn't want to see ceiling stains. I run into ceiling stains all the time. Not just because there's mold or anything that's like that. It's just something happened where the tub overflowed or whatever, a pipe
leak.
burst or whatever, and they cleaned it up right away. But I mean, you're dealing with the stain, and the buyer walks in, he looks up, and he goes, okay, if there's a stain there, what else do I see? So we've just learned kind of the little tricks, affordable tricks, and how to spot for if it's a bigger problem, and what do we need to do to combat that. But
yeah, of course.
Ultimately, we want to do what's the right thing to do.
Of course.
So,
I suppose depending on where you find the stain, it could lead to quite a few different questions. Like, for example, if you find the stain on the first floor ceiling, now plumbing could be in question, whatever else. But then again, second floor ceiling stains. Yep. Usually roof.
That's when I call you. And that's
issue,
exactly
right?
the last job we had you guys on. It just a bunch of staining around the bathroom vents. We found out there was no dampers on the bathroom vents, and the ductwork was just poor. It was just a poor install from the builder.
Right.
So
I'm doing inspections most often for this company, and finding less than airtight seals around the bath fan connections and the exhaust port connections for the bath fan HVAC. Lots of ice and frost buildup in these areas throughout the winter, and summer, spring comes, everything melts, and stains are abundant.
Oh, exactly.
Not to mention, some of the fluctuations we get in temperature as well in this area of the province.
Well, exactly. I phoned Mike that last job, and I said, what do you think? And he said, do you got frost in the attic? I go, well, it was 30 below, but when I think about it, there shouldn't really be frost in the attic, but there was. He says, well, I can tell you what your problem is right now. So, okay, well, when can you come?
Yeah, I mean, to find amounts of frost or ice that could really result in staining on the ceiling, or enough of it to depress the insulation so much so that you're losing R value. I mean, that's a large or a huge sign of condensation issues inside the attic. Although it is normal to find small amounts of frost maybe in some areas, considering the climate that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not too worrisome, but to find large amounts throughout the attic, it's certainly a condensation issue, and there are a lot of things that can be done to rectify that.
And I think Calgary, just with our weather swings, his roofing challenges must be, compared to other places in the world, we must be right up there.
And when it comes to the trades, men and women, becomes a real nuisance.
Oh, yeah.
Real nuisance, no doubt about it. But, I mean, a lot of trades are able to cater to the amount of snowfall that we get.
Right.
Sub-zero temperatures. I know some, for example, landscaping companies and things like that can do snow removal, amongst other things. And other trades are able to actually kind of move with the flow of things, which is great. I mean, there's a silver lining to the amount of snow we get and the extreme temperatures, but being able to adapt to those situations is important for a lot of companies. So, I mean, with No Payne Roofing, at one point we were actually even putting up Christmas lights for people when it was just too cold,
right?
Where the conditions weren't appropriate for re-roofing. So yeah, there's a variety of things we can do. Is there anything that Prep and Sell does that caters specifically to, say, the extreme climate that we get through winter months, or snow removal, something like that?
Most of our work is inside the house,
right?
And then when summer comes and it's deck and fence building season and yard cleanup and those kind of things, which we would work with. Your landscaping companies might, depending on the size of the project, we would partner up with those guys. Let's say you had to throw up a retaining wall or something, but we're pretty typical of what a renovation company might do, just on a different scale. But the needs of the house aren't going to change regardless of the seasons.
Right. Okay. So you said painting was certainly a primary.
Yes. Yeah. So when you say when I say we put ourselves in the shoes of the buyers, like right now I was driving over here from the extreme end of of Calgary.
Which end was the south
Cranston,
side?
yeah.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
Thank God for
Yeah,
the ring roads have made a big difference here.
Yeah,
for
no
getting
doubt. I'm
around,
happy that's done. Yeah.
But I noticed it's getting greener.
Right.
The snow is melting, so in April, May, June, July, the first thing people are going to notice is the curb appeal of the house. So if you don't mow your grass, if you don't weed your flower garden, it just makes the buyer go, what else is going on? They just expect problems inside the house. So those are easy things to do, but I mean, we have to, quite often I throw a lawnmower in my pickup truck and just take care of that stuff, especially when it's empty house. We have empty houses for whatever reason, an estate sale and stuff, and there's no one around to kind of take care of those little things, and they can creep up on you in a hurry.
I see.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into another question I had. I mentioned earlier, or I asked earlier about subcontracting certain crews, but you mentioned throwing a lawnmower into your own truck. So there are certain things that the prep and sell guys will cater to themselves.
And I can't help myself.
No, yeah, of course. Well, that's a good way to build client relationships and things, right?
No, just the way I was brought up in a school, hard knocks, and and to be honest, it's been a dark 2 years trying to get tradesmen during COVID, and there's times it's just been easier to go on the tools.
Right. Yeah.
And I tell the homeowner that, if it's not going to get done, I will do it. Somebody will get done if I got to do it myself, and sometimes it's busy. You have as you mentioned, it's hard to find good people sometimes. So
certainly.
And then there's just certain things where it's such a simple job. I'm there anyway, so if it's just like one wall to roller out or to do some yard cleanup or junk removal, I mean, I got a pickup truck and I'm driving right by the landfill anyway, so
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, I'm not scared of doing the work myself.
That's terrific.
Getting older, prefer not to do it, but it's you can't avoid it sometimes. So
of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way, as I said, to build customer relations. Not to mention being able to do things on the spot. They can tell that you would prioritize their business, considering you're equipped, or if you are equipped for certain repairs or maintenance, to be able to take care of that on the spot would certainly create, a loyal customer base. Even if they needed repairs done, it might not be in order to sell the home, but I guess that just kind of breeds another question. I'm curious if you've ever been hired back just for any maintenance or repairs if they weren't interested in selling.
They gain a comfort level.
Right.
Today, for example, I got off the phone just before coming here. This lady just trusted my judgment.
Right, good.
They were selling, and some of these problems, and as we can all understand, selling your home, especially a home that you've lived in for 20 years or more, you're maybe not familiar with the process of selling a house. It's very intimidating for people, and just to work them through the process, to say, okay, for example, this was a full window replacement, and I said, with the supply chain the way it is right now, it might take months before you might be able to get replacement parts. I said, that's never a deal breaker on a home. Talk to your real estate agent, working into the conditions. But today, the buyer is not going to walk away because you didn't do that. But they're sure going to appreciate that you identified it and told them you were, on the level, and said, you might want to think about this. This is what it may cost. And here's who you can call to repair that. I said, that's all you can do. And she felt a lot better. I've had, especially people that aren't handy, like older single people that just don't have toolboxes or the means to repair something or the wherewithal. We've been in there, and they'll just give you a call and, can you come back and take a look at this? And, even if it's just a one-off, let's say it's a roofing job, I'm just going to phone Mike. Mike, can you just go over there and deal with this person directly? And I've done that before, because I don't need them to pay any more than they have to for something simple. So it just works for all of us, Same thing that I know Mike will be in a house and he'll see something, and the homeowner's going to say, do you know anybody that can do this? Hey, call John over at Prep and Sell. So,
Of course.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
yeah, obviously creating that network,
Yep.
amongst trades and tradespeople can certainly be beneficial for everybody.
Yep.
I mean, you scratch our back, we scratch yours.
Yep.
Per se.
and everybody
Speaking
wins,
of
and even the
Back
homeowner,
scratching.
the homeowner wins too, right? So,
Yes, of course. And for you to be able to, all that transparency that you have with the client, certainly worth more than gold for sure. Because I mean, it could be a repeat customer.
Yep.
And obviously, them trusting your judgment and your capabilities to repair what they need repaired. Certainly doesn't go
where it
unnoticed.
builds trust with, for us, the biggest referral source, which is the real estate agent.
Okay, right.
Because we tell people you get a double guarantee, because I got to make you happy as a homeowner, but I also got to make your realtor happy. Because if I don't make the realtor happy, there goes a bunch of referrals. So,
yeah.
and that's really the prep and sell business is the fella, a real great guy named Richard Foster. He started Langley, British Columbia franchise, and he told me you get 20 or 30 realtors as referral in your referral network, and you've got yourself a business.
For sure, yeah.
You know,
I mean, you'd get a lot of
obviously,
those.
we'd like 100 or 200, but that's all of a sudden the calls will just come, and you just become their go-to. Because those guys, they want to sell houses. There's a lot of agents that enjoy being in there and calling all the services and taking care of that, but some people would rather just focus on the sale itself and bringing in the buyers and moving on to the next house. So we want to be part of their team. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it seems that you've really approached the situation intelligently, because I mean, creating the connections that you have and approaching the situations with these clients seemingly have worked out.
Well, that's
your
the
favor.
franchise training too.
Yeah, okay.
You learn from the best, and the guys lots of great advice. There's room for other franchises in Calgary, so if anybody's interested, they can certainly give me a call, and I can tell them a little bit more about the spiel. But I just soak up what I can from these other people, and we try to put the prep and sell brand forward and follow their lead and do the best we can here to build everything. So,
Indeed. Well, it's admirable, no doubt. From what I've learned from you already, and from what I've seen online, the reviews that I've read, certainly, you guys are winning. You've set out to do, you've set out to achieve something specific, and you've achieved it. And the name is growing, the business is growing, and you've been networking with tradesmen in order to help them to flourish, and yourself as well. So it seems like a win-win scenario.
we certainly help each other when we can. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, John. Well, moving into the next segment, you brought a USB drive full of photos for us. So we're going to run through some of these photos.
Sure.
We're going to take a look at some before and afters, just so people can get an idea of what kind of repairs you guys can do, how you can really perform makeovers on it.
So I was gonna bring my own pictures, but there was a bunch of thumbs in the way and blurry images. So we as a
Yeah.
franchise share our images together, but it just kind of gives you an idea of certain things we do. As I said, it's a hot market now, so right now we're just doing what we can just to repair things, but renovations is changing the look of a home, to get it out of the 1980s to just give it a fresh look. Just a lot of buyers walk in and they don't want to be reminded of work or extra
Right.
costs. They
Yeah,
just
of course.
they just want to move in. You can kind of see like an image like this is the colors are all wrong. It's just not real pleasant to look at. And then right there, it's bright, it's modern, it just cleans the space up.
Of course.
It brings it into today's, and really it's you get a good painter that's good at edging, and I think they changed the floor out there too. There's really some really great flooring choices. Just like No Payne, we've affiliated with a really good flooring company in town that gives a nice selection that is well priced for our clients, and the installers are great for us. So we've done some pretty cool things with the floor. I'll give you an example. I don't have any photos of it, but I walked into a home in Auburn Bay, and it was one of those. It was like that engineered hardwood, but it was kind of like a ripple, a wavy ripple. It was kind of the texture, and it was flaking off. It looked like a clubhouse.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
And we're going, okay, what are we gonna do here? So nowadays you can get that 2mm vinyl plank. So what we did is we skim coated it. We put the 2mm vinyl plank, so we didn't have much of a transition with the tile entryway, and we just could raise the baseboards, but it just totally changed the look of the place. But those are things, we didn't have that available to us like even 5 years ago. You'd have to rip everything else out, and you'd have a $10,000 flooring job on your hand.
Installing that on top
right
of the
on top.
pre-existing flooring.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I mean, that's something you probably wouldn't do in your forever home, but and it's durable, but it looks good, and it'll last for a number of years.
Right.
But the vinyl plank is, everybody is going that way now. But having said that, there's nothing beats beautiful hardwood.
Yeah, of course.
With your network,
the maintenance though that goes into the hardwood, like that authentic hardwood, from what I know, is I guess a little costly.
Well, and your dogs are walking on it, and you gotta shine it up. But I mean, there's always people that'll go in and sand it and restain it and make it look brand new. So I mean, we have those contacts too. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, if that's what the house needs, and some of the higher end homes demand that. So,
well, the fact that you're able to cater to those needs is essential,
right,
and also terrific, considering you're able to really cater to anything that they've thrown at you. I guess a good question would be, have there been any repairs that you were unable to move forward with, or is there anything that you haven't been able to tackle?
Oh, well, yeah. Sometimes I've walked into a couple homes. Shout out to Jason Jelaine at CIR. We walked into a house, and it was just beyond repair.
I see.
And I felt bad for the lady there, but we both looked at her and said, you have to sell this thing as is. Because at some point you got to rip everything right down to the stud.
Right.
And start over. Because, lipstick in the pig sometimes just doesn't do it. Sometimes it's time. That 25 to 30 to 40 year mark, like, it's time. Every home needs that big facelift renovation.
Of course, yeah.
And sometimes that's part of the consult. I'd love to help you, but I can't, unless you want to spend a lot of money here.
Of course, yeah. They might, break even if they go through that amount of repairs and then sell.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
you try to, in a way, in your consult, and the agents, they do the same thing. You're kind of part social worker in a way, because it's an emotional time for people, and if, let's say, it was a slow market and there were 4 real estate signs on the same street, then go do that renovation, because you want to be the one that sells that looks the best, because you'll get your money back, because you don't want to be paying a mortgage for 5, 6, 7, 8 months, a year, 2 years waiting for it to sell because it doesn't look good. And in the meantime, the other ones that just appeal better to the buyer, they sell first. So that's when those rentals really work.
Of course.
But you got to kind of always time the market and watch, just read the tea leaves. What's going on? What's the house telling us? How can we get the most money for this client and sell it the fastest? And that's really the pitch. And the house will tell you.
Yeah, I guess
what you need to do.
It would be maybe apparent if certain repairs are worthwhile or not, and things like so.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, a lot of like curb appeal kind of stuff could play a huge role.
It could,
and being able to increase profit for the client.
And it depends what neighborhood it's in.
Yeah.
If you got a house on either side that's got garbage in the backyard and it's a rough part of town, well, maybe you just kind of clean up the safety features and just get it ready to list. And get it out the door. For the next
yeah.
guy to come in and do what they mean. Maybe it's just a rental property, as long as it's safe and fits that neighborhood. If I'm in Bel Air, things are a little different.
Yeah,
I was in a real eccentric house last week where the design choices were absolutely bizarre. But with the market the way it is, and it's an infill in a great neighborhood, it's something where you really it's work with the client and the real estate agent and say, okay, what do we want to do here? And ultimately it's up to the realtor to find the price point. But if it sits for a while, that's when you pick up the phone and said, what if we put $100,000 into this house? What if we give it a full paint and change out some baseboards, or maybe change some cabinetry out, or new flooring, or whatever the house needs. Because when you're up to that $1.5 to $2 million, $100,000 isn't much, especially when it's sitting there for 6 or 8 months. I mean, they want to move on. They want to move on with their life. It's a life decision. So it's an asset that they have to move. So, to put something in there is, like that, really the same buyer, the comments from the buyers of the people when it shows, they keep telling you the same thing over and over again. Maybe you should probably listen to what you're hearing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for sure. Well, you do have a lot to say about the topic, which is great. I mean, you've informed me, and I'm sure whoever's watching is getting a lot out of this as well. So
It is a fun topic, and I think,
of course,
most people kind of have a little bit of knowledge set and opinions of what they think should be done to their homes to put it in saleable condition.
Well, it's one hell of a procedure as well, and to just have a deeper understanding of what might be worthwhile and what might not be worthwhile in terms of repairs and things like that. I think people are certainly getting what they wanted out of watching this podcast. So
the biggest thing, that the challenge we have, we meaning the realtor and me and the other franchisees, is going in and telling a homeowner, okay, you've made a decision in your life to sell your house. From this point forward, I want you to have this mindset. It's not your house. Meaning, get the nostalgia off the walls and make sure that the buyer can visualize themselves in the house, so that they're not seeing your life. And that's so important. So whether you stage it, like a lot of clutter, people will have like way too much furniture in the house, or they may have, pictures all over the walls of family members that, that's great, but you can't have it everywhere. You can't have grandma's floral wallpaper from 1979, or there's certain things that just, they need to go, even though you think it looks good. You got to kind of tone things down and be neutral. We all hear that word neutral, but it's true. You put something like paint's a good example. We may not choose the paint that the buyer wants, but give them an opportunity to work with that paint. So a neutral tone. It's easy. If I go in and I put purple paint on the wall, well, then now they got to prime it and spend a lot of time, making
of course,
it their own.
That could be a headache for a future buyer. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So we have a good example again on screen here.
Yeah, so we're getting to that time of year. This is pretty common, so we're going outside. So we do this a lot. So you can see there, some of those boards just need to come off. We don't need any tripping hazards. Just scrape. A lot of times a good pressure washer will take that paint off and repaint it. So that's a very common job in the spring. But even like deck building season, sometimes a deck needs to go. Sometimes front entryways are a big thing. Porches are,
of course,
need to be either resurfaced or.
Do you know if this one was in the front or the back side?
That looks like a back.
Probably the back
one. Yeah.
Well, let's look at the after shot. This is the same.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
deck,
an easy job. Looks just a nice. Looks like they could use another coat of paint. That must have been the Vancouver guys.
Right,
Calgary guys would. But that's common. Just get a good exterior paint.
Of course.
Clean things up, and it's just another thing that the buyer doesn't have to worry about.
We've got another shot here.
Yep.
Looks like an ensuite or something, and potentially a basement area.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just examples of what we might walk into.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
A few before and after shots. I mean, obviously this is an older home, but nobody wants to see that, and this is easy, Those are probably
Of course,
spec cabinets, and, we have the tradesmen that can easily go in there and make that happen.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is inviting. It's brighter.
Yeah.
Right? It seems cleaner. It's inviting.
I bet that's a laundry room. Sure looks like, well, maybe it's a mother-in-law
yeah, it
suite.
might be. Yeah. Well, it looks a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole point of these photos. I mean, looking at that before.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, quite a difference.
But it adds value. I mean,
of course, certainly.
I
does,
bet that real estate agent will be able to add $15,000 to their house because of that, or even 20. I mean, I'm speculating, but
right.
You will get the money back.
Yes, of course. I think so too. So this is looking like, I think that's the before, just showing the condition of the deck. I think this is kind of showing a bit of the process.
Yeah, so Vancouver especially, they do a lot of pressure washing. They get a lot of mildew and different conditions, but we do pressure washering's a big thing. Our siding, Calgary siding, especially vinyl siding, is really dirty.
Right, yeah.
I've learned the hard way. Like, I have a nice little pressure washer for my truck, and I learned the hard way that's not a good device. I ended up bringing the pros in to do it properly, because it's amazing. They get the proper wands, and they can reach
using
high.
that on your siding, you mean, or?
For my clients. So.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't use the right tools to pressure wash your house, it can look terrible.
You can damage things.
Yeah. If you set the nozzle a little too tight, I mean, you can't, all of a sudden you got a streak. So it's just knowing. You learn these things as you go, how to properly do that. But boy, does it make a house look great when you clean it properly. Sure. You walk in, and then the same thing. Like, Calgary's a dusty city. It depends on the time of year, and cleaning that front entryway and making people feel welcome is so important, I think. So.
Certainly. Looks like we have a yard here now too. This looks like it could be on the.
A lot of overgrowth. You see that quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of overgrowth there. This is just kind of another shot.
Yeah. So I mean, you can't even see the house. Just you never know. And it's kind of creepy, with crime, Indeed. But my first job, we had to trim. Was it you? No, it was Mike. I was telling this story. We did a tree trimming project, and these lilac trees had never been trimmed in this Acadia, and it was sloping down. So I had this tree trimmer come in, and it was amazing. Just the difference, the look. It was just now. It just opened the yard right up, and it's amazing the junk that collects in there, and it was like a whole new yard. And it showcased the house. I don't have those pictures, unfortunately, but like that. But it takes someone to manage the tree trimmers, and then it's not just that. You got to deal with getting it off site and communicating with the neighbors that, okay, we're doing this now, and
seemingly would have a way bigger impact than some people might realize. Just as you said, trimming things up like that,
and little things like that. You're dealing with power lines. Big poplar and spruce trees that all of a sudden they're interfering with the power lines. You better know what the city bylaws are, what you can do, when you can do it. Those are little things that the average homeowner appreciates when you say, okay, by the way, did you know this? So don't want to get them in trouble. So. Yeah,
of course. Well, it's nice to have that kind of guidance from a company like Prep and Sell. I mean, because getting some of these repairs done, as you said, bylaws and certain stipulations, I guess, that the city has on when these things can be done.
Where you can park on the street, where you can put your green bin,
we have those issues, right? Even with our re-roof.
Yeah, for sure.
We can't sometimes even park in front of the house. We sometimes have no choice but to, accumulate tickets throughout the job.
Yeah.
Which is certainly a huge nuisance.
Yeah, but it's all part of the pre-job planning. So.
Yeah, of course. So the photo we have here, just you said you guys could declutter.
Well, it's all about clutter.
Too, so we're seeing an overgrown basement, we'll say.
Well, let me tell you. Let's say you have a couple that's retired. They're moving into the next phase. They're downsizing. They accumulate a lot of stuff. Or let's say you got a big family and it's time to move on. You got a box up, and it's you've maybe seen, to overemphasize it, or episode of Hoarders where people can't let go of their stuff.
Right.
And we have those people that can go in and help sort, pack, just kind of help them through that step. Okay, because they still have to move out, and we got to get that stuff out of the way. And here it just doesn't show well. That clutter, it gives the buyer a cluttered mind. They don't feel comfortable with all this stuff in the house. So, there's certain people that can go in and clean that up, and it's just, that it's just out of the way, and now people can visualize that space. Maybe they can have a rocking podcast room down there.
I was going to say, you go to a house.
They've already got the nice curtains there, so they keep the light out. So,
yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
Well, we've got curtains. Curtains are on the list down here for sure. But I was going to say, yeah, you come down into a basement like that during a viewing, and it's difficult to really visualize the space, as you put. So I'd think, the drum kit would go good in that corner. Put my guitar amps on that side.
My kid would say that's the wall ball for lacrosse. He can hammer the balls there and work on his hand.
Yeah, I can definitely see how these kinds of things can certainly help to accelerate the sale process.
But it's a lot of work for people, and they're not as young as they used to, and they need help.
Of course. Yes, of course. Yeah, so now the
there
bathroom
you go.
shot.
That's special, eh?
Yeah, I'd love to actually have a shower in a bathroom like that. Just with the wallpaper, I can't say that I've showered in a place
and you know what?
as vintage as this.
And I find it bizarre that there's windows. You find windows in showers. And I just go, what were the builders thinking?
Yeah, what?
But certain, let's say it's a condo. I was in a condo, and we had to recaulk and clean up a shower. And the window was ugly, but we weren't allowed to take the window out because it's a condo. So
I guess so.
had to deal with it.
Like
so,
that. Well, let's see what you guys did with it. Oh, let's see what we got in the next photo here. Oh, that's much better.
Just clean it up. Bathrooms are very common for prep and sell.
Right, I can imagine.
Anymore, those tub shower combos. You just slam the old stuff out. You get the tub shower combo in. You're in and out of there in way less than a week.
Right.
Looks nice and clean. You couple that with a vanity, and you got a brand new bathroom.
All right, let's see. For some reason, this photo's upside down. I'm not sure how that happened, but that's a nice picture of the truck. But for some reason, she wanted to come through.
That was
the wrong way around. I can see that truck actually up front of the house here. It was a nice looking truck for sure.
That was a home in Cottonwood, just south of Calgary.
Oh, I see.
And you go, where Dumbo Road is, it's Heritage Point Golf Course, and Cottonwood's on the other side. But anyway, I remember walking into that house, a bungalow, and you walk, big picture window, and all of a sudden you could see the whole Bull River Valley and the golf course, and just the nice frost, or the fog was just coming off, just beautiful.
Right,
and
that'd be real nice.
Somebody is just gonna fall in love with this view.
Of course.
So, but it's the same thing. Older couple just needed help with just certain things, like we changed out a carburetor, for example, that didn't work, and then they just had all these people have these lingering problems that they don't get to. Didn't have time. Well, guess what? We decided to sell, and then we come in and bang, 3 days later it's done, or 1 day, or it depends on the scope of work. But,
so it looks like in this photo we've got another case of hoarding.
Junk, yeah.
Right, more junk. And you said, having people come by to help with organization and whatnot.
Well, that's somebody's treasure there.
Yeah, I guess so. So I've seen a few episodes, hoarding.
Yeah.
And letting go of even the smallest item can be extremely difficult, right? It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
COVID made it really tough because the garage sales went away.
Yeah, wow.
So you always have a garage sale when you're getting ready to sell.
Of course.
And people were afraid to come to your house. The company that we worked with on the first job that we had is a estate sale, just helping with this kind of thing. They go in and then they put their stuff online, but they almost always have a garage sale where they work with these people. But their business changed overnight.
Unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of people were impacted negatively.
So what do you think of staging? When I say the word staging, what does that mean to you?
Staging. Well, I'm thinking of, getting ready to perform. I'm thinking of like the setup.
There
like,
you
where am I
go.
gonna put my amp? Where our pop's gonna go in the fog machine, staging. So probably a wildly different definition.
So if you watch Home and Garden TV, you get the stagers in with the fancy houses and the empty house, and they bring in the fancy furniture and all the plants, and makes the house look like an empty house look lived in.
Right.
That's not really that is one form of staging, but staging means rearranging furniture.
Okay. I actually love that, to be honest. I've rearranged, like the last place I was in, I rearrange when I'm bored. Actually, and Carly can attest to that. I don't know, I like to, it's a feng shui type of thing, you get a different kind of vibe in there, move the TV and the couch, it feels like you're in a different space,
So what do you see when you see this?
Well, a whole lot of clutter, just disorganization, and just lack of cleanliness. A couple rabbit cages probably too. That might be a little smelly too.
Stuff's just in the way.
Right.
And I've walked into houses where do you really need that piece of furniture there?
Right.
Like, I know it works for you now, but it's not your house. So
right, we'll bring to the next photo and bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, so now you can walk around, it's comfortable. I don't know if that's the same house. Is that the same house?
Yeah, it's the same place. You can see the pillar on the wall on the left side there. There you go. Right? And they even replaced or updated the dishwasher.
Yeah, I mean that's simple, and I don't think it would have cost them that much. Fresh coat of paint. Did they change the flooring out? I think they changed the flooring.
It looks like
out.
I think that was carpet in there before.
Oh yeah, dirty white carpet.
Yeah.
I mean that's easy.
Yeah.
I mean nowadays you can put an affordable vinyl plank flooring down, and you can have that.
Yeah, I'm certainly attracted to the modern look.
Gray seems to be the color.
Nice.
I was told gray's going out. You heard that?
It better not.
Better not? You just paint your house?
Gray's going out? Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody told me that. We're going to go, we always kind of recycle old colors. Maybe we're going back to Brady Bunch style.
Yeah, maybe. It might not be, suitable for everybody, but regardless of what color the walls are, I'm pretty big on just posters and things like that.
Yeah,
as you can see walking down here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why that's all down in the basement, not upstairs.
I have hockey jerseys.
All right. Okay.
You got the signed jerseys and
that's great.
All the paraphernalia.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I can't
I'm not allowed to put them upstairs though.
That's just like Carly lives here as well, right? And the I guess upper floor is kind of like middle ground, and then the bedroom area upstairs, that's all kind of her territory. So all that kind of stuff stays down here. All my amps, all my LPs and posters and all that good stuff. But
what's your most prized memorabilia?
My most prized memorabilia. Oh man, I have an inflatable Rosie doll. Rosie.
Is this the part where you start bleeping stuff
out? Rosie being AC/DC's mascot.
Oh,
slightly overweight,
nice.
Extremely large bosom stage prop that they had used on tour back in the day, which was huge. Took up the whole stage, and my friend actually brought that to me. My friend Brandon, he brought me a miniature-sized inflatable version of Rosie the doll. Probably about the size of a shoebox. But
Angus sign it.
Yeah, I wish that would be great. But that's probably my favorite piece of memorabilia. I have lots of shirts.
Yeah.
And I knickknacks and things, but that one I've had probably for 15 years. And AC/DC was one of my favorite bands of all time. So
a friend of mine caught Shania Twain's leather jacket.
Oh, that's
cool. So he tells the story over and over again, but he almost got beat up because everybody wanted this jacket.
Right on. Another cool piece of memorabilia. I have a pick from James Hetfield of Metallica. I was right in the front row. They played at the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Yeah. It's Avenged Sevenfold, Gojira, and I almost said Megadeth and Metallica. But I threw a bunch of picks and I grabbed a few, gave them away to my friends. That was a cool piece of memorabilia.
Great regret of my life is I never saw either one of those bands in concert when I had the chance to. So
well, they're still kicking. They're still kicking. I'm sure they'll be back. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, AC/DC, aren't they having health issues or can't?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I know Brian Johnson had to step down from singing for a while. He had like some inner ear issues and stuff like that, but he's back. I mean, other than that, Malcolm Young passed away, I think, like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's what I was thinking.
And they replaced him with Stevie Young. I think he was his younger cousin or brother. I can't remember. Kept that in-house. But yeah, I know they're still performing. They put out Power Up, their recent album they put out, I think, last year or the year before. So they're
Wow.
still kicking.
Oh,
They're still
good.
kicking as well,
Yeah.
which is good.
Well, they're getting on, but that's good.
Man,
Those
that's
little guys seem
actually
to,
bringing me into the next segment. I was going to ask you more about yourself, more about your hobbies and your interests, right? So music sounds like is a big one.
yeah,
for
a
you
long
as well.
time ago. This reminded me of my youth. We high school, we were all learning how to play guitar, and then decided to form a band. And I
Yeah,
grew
right
up
on.
in a small community outside of Calgary, and so we played some local dances. And
Great.
so my brother had a drum kit, so I was the go-to drummer, but which sucks because you're the first one to prep, and you're the last one while everybody else is
Yeah.
chasing the girls and having a beer.
Yeah,
I'm putting my drum kit in the truck, and
Yeah, I got to deal with the loadout and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
So-
understand.
but it was a lot of fun. Kept us busy, and I still play guitar today.
Yeah, good,
Keep
of
a
course.
12-string guitar going, and
Yeah,
campfire.
great.
A campfire. Everybody likes a good guitar, so
Of course, it's important to
I
learn some
try
of
to
those acoustic
interject a
songs.
little humor and do the audience involvement, and
Right,
try
of
not
course.
to make it about myself, and play what they want. But I'm getting a little more bashful and just go to bed earlier at night. But,
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I mean, I've been going to bed earlier as well for different reasons. I mean, I've been going to the gym in
Yeah.
the morning, and I got to get up early for that. But I mean, no, when it comes to campfire songs, you mentioned inserting humor into that as
Oh, yeah,
well.
yeah.
A good go-to for me for campfire songs is Tenacious D.
oh yeah,
A lot of their songs, obviously, comedy-driven.
yeah.
And I learned
Yeah.
a few acoustic covers of their songs, so those are really good.
Yeah, Stompin' Tom Connors. That's my
Stompin' Tom
go-to.
Connors.
Yeah,
Right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should write that down. You have a pencil over there? I'd like to check that out as well.
Yeah.
Well, no, discovering new music is part of the game.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
And that
yeah.
thought that you maybe haven't yet heard your favorite band of all time, that's what really keeps you going, Because I have my favorite bands, but
Yeah.
you never know. Maybe next year you find your favorite band of all
it's
time.
interesting. The most heaviest metal guy, still, he's a musician. So it's amazing to me how much they know about music. Like
For sure.
like Beethoven, for example, or they will be appreciative of all kind of music.
Of course, I can relate in a sense. I mean, heavy metal is a primary style, but music theory goes hand in hand with that, obviously, because if you're somebody writing a lot of music, or even say recording music, just having a deeper understanding of the process and the dynamic between different passages and things can definitely have a huge effect. But then you hear about all these other musicians who didn't know a lick of theory,
Yeah.
and I think Jimi Hendrix was a prominent
Well, I
member
bet.
of that
I
group.
don't think the Beatles really
don't
were all
need
that
it.
knowledgeable when they
Yeah,
stepped
probably
up.
not.
Like,
You
I
just,
don't think they could read sheet music.
some people just know how to do it. Know what sounds good together. You
They
learn
got-
you
they
learn
got
your
the-
way around
they
the
got the ear,
fretboard.
yeah.
You learn your way around the fretboard,
Yeah.
and like, okay, well, G's here. I can do a G bar chord here.
Yeah.
This note, and like you can just find that, say, G all the way up the fretboard. Now it's just you understand the fretboard, and you can really work your way around not fully understanding music theory. And that was me probably for the first 10 years of like
Yeah.
of riffing.
You got
was
her.
just-
Yeah.
Doing what I can. So it was good. Well, outside of music, what else hobby-wise?
Oh, we try to play hockey.
Yeah,
like
right
a
on.
good Canadian boy.
Yeah, I love hockey too.
What we do is we play the beer league. Been with the same group of guys for 10 or 15 years.
That's great.
I am a part of the oil and gas community at
Okay.
large. I'm an engineer. Still do a little bit of project work on the side for people that need some help. So I've kept up with those guys, and we go out there, and it's almost the same teams we play, which is awesome because everybody has to get up and go to work the next day. So there's no F-bombs or stick slashing, and that's nice.
Right.
I like that.
So I wonder in the beer
yeah.
league, like I guess, well, if it's an ice hockey league and you're wearing full gear, I'm assuming slap shots are okay. 'Cause I know some leagues you got to keep a slap shot
Yeah,
below
we
the
do.
knees
Yeah.
or something
yeah.
like that.
Once we hit the beer leagues, the slap shots kind of come to an end.
Yeah,
The senior leagues, they still do it.
Keep her down at like snapshots or
yeah.
below the knee kind of
Yeah,
shots.
the goalies don't move as fast, so the
Yeah, of
older they
course.
get.
The pads are getting thinner and
Yeah.
thinner as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's happening here March 31st? Your Prep and Sell franchisee is going to be in the Chestermere Arena for 10 days, setting a world record for the longest hockey game. So
Right.
raising money
Actually,
for the
I think
Children's
Carly mentioned
Hospital.
that to
So,
me. Yeah, the world's. So what's the record currently at? What are you trying to beat
I
with
think
that?
260 hours,
Holy man.
give or take an hour here and there.
How many lines do you have for that? You're gonna need like
So we have
you're gonna be playing.
yeah.
At least
So
every
they have
5
they have a system. So we have 20 guys per roster. So we form groups of 4. So there's me and 3 other guys, and we have a schedule. So we join up with another group of 4, and we play for 4 hours. So there's 2 guys on the ice, and one of us has to play goal, which is a real good experience. I played in the 2014 game, which raised $2 million for the Children's Hospital
Great.
Foundation. And that goaltending is just somebody else can have that job, but it's you do what you got to do for the kids. So, but we do our shift, and then another set of guys come out, and then at the very end we all get together and the last hour and we break the record. But
Yeah, great.
so you stay in the same complex, so you'll get your 4 or 8
I see.
hours off, and then they've got cots set up in a dark place, and like kind of like trade show, go to a trade show. They got those curtains, they can cordon you off in your own little room. So it's very well organized. So
yeah, it needs to be if you're gonna survive it. I mean, 10
I did
days,
I
10
did have
straight
a
days.
few pictures from the last game there if you wanted to see what we're.
Oh, I don't think I pulled those up. Unfortunately,
Oh, that's
I
okay.
didn't add those to the roster.
That's okay. If people want to learn more, it's hockeymarathon.com.
Hockeymarathon.com. That's
it's
great.
a real good cause. So you can
Yeah,
find
of
out
course,
who the players are and what the details are there. So
if you're gonna raise money for charity, I mean, doing it in the funnest way possible is certainly worthwhile. And for somebody who loves hockey, that seems to be a perfect match.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
terrific.
Yeah. No, I was inspired. I lost a child to a brain tumor 10 years ago. So,
I'm sorry, John.
So it inspired me to get on and help raise money for childhood cancer research. So
terrific.
You
That's great.
you try to do some good out of a personal tragedy or a family tragedy, and you learn from that experience where you can. Yeah, when you do go, you fundraise to research that really needs it. That doesn't always get the funding. So,
I didn't realize that there was that kind of motivation behind the entire thing. That's
everybody has
sure.
and everybody has a personal connection to cancer in general, and certainly most of us all have kids. So we all have a vested interest in doing our part. Even with the pandemic, kids were still, like cancer didn't go away. Childhood cancer didn't go away. So,
right.
We still have a battle to fight. And, every year they make new strides, and you can't make further strides without research. So,
of course.
It seems like the best funding comes outside of the national health agencies. Big pharma doesn't seem like, they're too engaged because they don't sell enough drugs for pediatric cancer. So, it's the private foundations like the ones that we support that do the most work. So
I see.
Yeah.
Well, just learning just how involved you are in this charity organization, we'll call it, is admirable for sure. I mean, considering you were affected in the way that you were, certainly helped to motivate you to get involved the way it did, and it's certainly inspiring.
Yeah, and it's a spiritual journey. A lot of people that have that tragedy in their life. You see a lot of people run a marathon, for example, or climb a mountain, or go on a long bike ride. It really heals the soul. I find for me this was a way for me, and doing something I love to do.
Right.
Getting older, so I don't move as fast as I used to. But so we've been trying to train. So
of course. Well,
me and the guys. We go to a gym in Okotoks, and they cater to our needs.
Of course, well, it's extremely good for you as well. Cardiovascular health is important.
Yeah,
so I mean,
core strength. Your core is so important.
Yes, of
because
course.
It's 3 a.m. You've been on the ice for 3.5 hours. you just want to collapse.
Yeah, of course. Well, you'll thank yourself after. Well, it'll take a few days after.
Yeah. It does for sure. You want to sleep for a week straight. Yeah.
Yeah. To push yourself physically like that to help to strengthen your cardiovascular health, but simultaneously raising money for such a serious cause. Again, the word admirable comes to mind because I haven't really exposed myself to anything like that. nor have I been involved in any major charity runs like that. So I
Come
applaud
on
you.
out and be part of it.
I
There's
applaud
lots
you.
going on in Chestermere.
When does
Arena,
that start?
March 31st.
March
so it runs
31st.
till I think April 10th is our last day.
Coming
April
up.
9th or 10th. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
right on. I assume you'll be getting lots of sleep before that then.
We'll try, yeah. But it's amazing who shows up, like the Flames and the local celebrities help us out, and
Right.
it's amazing who shows their face. I brought my kid down to the first game in 2012. I didn't play the first game because we were dealing with our ordeal, but Jerome McGinley happened to be there at the time and signed some autographs, and so it's a lot of fun. The kids get engaged, and
Of course.
people help out, lots of volunteer help. So
And it would certainly help to inspire others.
yeah, for sure. So Edmonton, there's a group up in Edmonton. Those guys play outside in February, so they're tougher than we are.
Yeah, you can hit -30 in February. That would be,
yeah. So what happens is they break the record by a couple hours, and then we break the record. So we just kind of and really, you don't have to break the record. It's just the whole idea is we're helping out the cause.
Yes,
so,
of course. Right.
If we break the record, that's a bonus. So
is this an annual event? Is this every year you guys try to beat each other?
For a while there, it was it was 2012. Edmonton was the first. I believe they've done it. They've probably done it 4 or 5 times. So we did it in 2012. It was inspired by a little girl named Diamond Marshall, who her father Lyle was the founder of the game with another gentleman named Alex Hallett, and Diamond was well known as the little girl on the tarmac that Princess Kate hugged, going back a number of years. So we've lost Diamond since then, but she inspired a lot of us, and myself included. And you see these kids battling. We're playing for a little girl in Langdon named Ava, who's been battling brain tumors and radiation sickness, and it's just been a tough goal for 10 years for that little girl. She hasn't known anything else but hospital visits and MRIs and pharmaceuticals and everything else. So our group has adopted her. We're Ava's Army, and if it gives them a diversion, an escape from whatever else is going on, then we've done our job. So,
yeah, of course. And in her eyes, you become, the local hockey heroes.
Well, she's our hero. So,
right.
We're playing in that game, but our pain is nothing compared to hers and a lot of the kids that walk through those doors,
Of course. Well, I'm happy that you shared that with us.
Sure.
I don't think I added that to my notes like I should have. I did hear
about
that's
that. Okay. I can talk about that forever. So
well, that's good. No, that's good. It's certainly a worthwhile point to make. And as I said already, it's inspiring to hear that you guys have banded together in the way that you have to raise money for those who need it, and to do it in such a way that can inspire other communities to do the same sort of challenge, we'll call it. I'm assuming in the near future, Edmonton would try to beat that record, and it's all for a good cause. So it's good.
I think we're beating Buffalo, New York's record.
Oh, is that right?
They actually reached out to our organizing committee. How do you guys do this thing? So we gave them the tips. Okay, well, this is how you structure it, and this is where you sleep, and this. So they took that all under consideration and kind of mimicked it, and they made a lot of money for their charitable cause there. So it's nice to see that it's growing. So and that's what we want.
Well, it's infectious. Yep. It's infectious for sure, and you seem to have caught that bug, which is great. And Edmonton as well. That. And let's hope to see many, many years of the hockey marathon.
Well, they'll have to do it out with some younger guys next time.
Yeah.
You can play. You can take my spot.
Right. Yeah, they might beat you by a mile. Okay, John. Well, let's talk a little bit more about this contraption brought here.
That's the best way to.
Yeah, here I'll
okay.
Pull it up here in front of everybody. So, from what I have known, or what you told me, this is like a disinfecting unit.
So it's an ozone generator. So people used to smoke a lot in the old days. So you'd walk into a house, and that's a real turnoff when you smell cigarette smoke. A lot of people are cooking their kitchen, and they have curry, and those odors, they just don't go away. They get in your ductwork and into your curtains, and this is a little tool that what it does is it blasts ozone into the.
Ozone.
Oh, it does. So it pumps out. You can rent these things. Let's say somebody was real mean to you and put a fish in your car.
Right.
You might need an ozone generator to remove it. So I mean, they come in different shapes and sizes, but this one is good for a 2-story home. And the principle is this: what it does is it takes air in, and it puts an electrical charge in, and it creates what's called it goes from an anode to a cathode, and without getting too complicated, it creates a corona discharge, which is just an electrical circle. So when oxygen passes through there, and if I can use this, so this is what an oxygen molecule looks like. So it's got a real strong bond here. So when it passes through the ozone generator, what happens is this bond weakens and different atoms split off, and you can get ozone. So ozone is like this. Now, this is a very unstable compound, and it doesn't want to be like this. So you've got this oxygen atom here that what it wants to do is it wants to find a friend. So you take a toxin like cigarette smoke, which is a bacteria or a fungi or mildew or anything like even this, a coronavirus. This is my coronavirus. So
The spitting image.
yeah. So what it's looking for is oxygen binds well with things like carbon, sulfur, all sorts of things, hydrogen. So, like cigarette smoke and nicotine and those kind of things. It's like a chain, which what this will do, for a coronavirus, like I believe that the spike proteins, it's protecting the nuclei. And without these spikes, this just dies. So my understanding, without being a virologist or one of the guys in the medical community, is these spike proteins have a relative of the sulfur element. So oxygen loves sulfur, it binds, and if you can break the spike protein, what'll happen is it just breaks apart, blows it apart, so the virus will die. Same thing with all your toxins in cigarette smoke. So that's kind of the theory behind it chemically. So with the ozone machine, is we blast ozone. I usually aim it towards a duct, like your cold air return.
Okay. Yeah.
Kick the furnace fan on, and you run it for 24 hours. Everybody's got to get out of Dodge. You got to take kitty, cat, and dog with you.
I see.
And it will get everywhere. It'll get into your clothes. It will get into your curtains, your rug. And it's pretty effective. I'll never say it's 100% effective, but it's amazing what it can knock down. Because nobody wants to walk in and smell that.
Right.
It's generally the first thing that I'll do when I'll come into a house that really stinks. It's interesting that there's less and less cigarette smokers than there used to be. So I thought this thing would be a lot busier than it is, but we still use it from time to time. It's amazing how powerful it is. When I go in there, I got to get in right away, and I've got to open all the windows, and I get my floor fan out, and we air everything out. I spend about a half an hour airing everything out. I tell people to kind of stay away for a few hours after that, but ozone will dissipate on its own. But with ozone, we call it Mother Nature's purifier. So have you ever noticed during a thunderstorm, if you're in the country, after an electrical storm, how fresh it smells?
Yeah, you can seemingly,
what you're smelling is ozone, and that's what it's doing the same thing. All the pollens and toxins and stuff. That's the purpose of that's God's way of cleaning the earth up.
Okay.
So you got a couple of days where everything smells so nice and fresh.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
it's the same. It's really the same thing that's going on here.
Hey,
so,
you learn something new every day.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
cool.
kind of a neat concept. So I mean, I like to kind of tell my clients, I mean, this is why we're doing it, and this is how it works. Because people think it's just hocus pocus. Oh, sure, you're just selling me this and just taking money. I says, you know what? It actually does work. But we couple that. You still have to paint, change the old carpet out and stuff. But it's sometimes, you know what? I like the idea that it can get in the ductwork and behind in the cracks and crevices that, no paint job or no cleaning job can get at. So it just kind of complements everything.
So do you attach this to the furnace itself?
No, I just point it right to a cold air return.
Okay, I
Yep.
see.
We do all the work. I come set it up, walk away, make sure everything's all sealed up. If there's any ceiling fans, I get kick them on just to kind of circulate everything. But between that, and it's nice. It gets in your furnace too, because you imagine your cold air return, all that cigarette smoke and all that, those vicious odors they've just been running through there. So,
so what are some of the more obvious changes that you might notice after this sort of treatment?
well, it doesn't obviously the smell.
Right. Yeah. Like so, it would kill. All, like,
It's pure. It's your senses, and it's. Remember I talked about you got to put yourself in the buyer's shoes.
right.
The curb appeal is the first thing you see. So it's a toss up. If you walk in and remember that cluttered space, we saw that picture. Well, I bet they smell the cigarette smoke before they notice the clutter, and then it just like my wife's one of those people that just, she's very sensitive nose. She'll just turn around. You're just turned off. You don't want to buy that house at all if that's always on your mind.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but so I mean that's just it's a cheap way of removing a real nuisance and something that could really turn off your buyer pool.
It's a fantastic piece of gear.
Yeah, and
About it.
that's the biggest one you can buy on the market that's not a commercial product. Like I think like meat packing plants and big outfits like that have to sanitize all the time. They have the big commercial ones that are probably 5 times the size of that. But so that when somebody says, well, I'll go down and rent one for $60, it won't do the same job that this one will.
I see.
So, yeah.
So what would the average cost be for a piece like this if you were to purchase your own, if you could purchase your own of this size?
That's probably a $2,500 item. Yeah.
Does it need to be recharged? Like, is there?
No. I plug it in directly into the wall.
Right.
That creates the current.
So there's got to be. Oh, so it's just
there's
the
a plug
electrical current that's being essentially
Yeah.
expelled.
Yeah, that's that corona discharge I was talking about. So what it is, there's 2 plates, and there's an anode and a cathode, and this current just goes from one side to the other, and it creates this corona discharge, and then what it does is there's a fan inside, and you can see the filters there. The blue stuff on the other side. So it sucks the oxygen in, the air, and what it'll do is it'll just convert the O2 molecules into O3 on the way out, and then the O3 into the ductworks it goes, it circulates, and then it's on a mission. It's looking for carbon and sulfur. It's looking for a friend. So. And that's the thing. It's just kind of a passive way to kind of go out and clean your house up. So,
well, that's very handy and it's very cool. I haven't seen anything like this until now. I'm sure the same goes for our viewers because who would have thought you could capture ozone and use it to help purify your own living space?
Well, even things like how many people smoke in the garage.
Yeah, probably.
Wintertime, it's just you could park this in the garage overnight, and it just for some people, let's say my wife doesn't smoke or I did, and every spring you run this, and then it's just when you walk to the car every time, you don't have to encounter that odor.
Right.
So
that's a more user-friendly way as well. And I mean, aerosols and things like that would be less than satisfactory. It might only mask the smell.
It masks exactly
amount of time.
Yeah, this breaks it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I'm happy that you decided to bring it. I didn't anticipate it, and you showed up to the door holding this thing. I'm like, what? What is that? Well, I guess we'll learn the hard way about it. But that's really cool, and I'm happy you decided to bring it.
No, well, it's like I said, it's I think they were used a lot, but people are their habits have changed. When I grew up, everybody smoked.
Right.
And you've probably seen images of cars that have ashtrays in the back seat for the people that sit in the back seat. So now, and even an elevator, you walk into an old building with an elevator, there's an ashtray there. So
that's interesting. Yeah.
I thought I'd be using it a lot more, but it's nice to know it's a tool we have that we can help our clients, because you still run into those situations.
Yeah,
so.
Being able to offer a service that a lot of people don't.
Yep.
That a lot of people don't offer, and a service that probably most people haven't even heard of.
Yeah. Yep.
So it definitely puts you on their list, right? When it comes to recommendations and whatever else. So interesting piece of gear, no doubt about it, and not having to recharge it.
Yep.
Anything like that. No, it could last a lifetime.
Yeah, and
for
it's
sure.
just it's like we hardly have to maintain it, and as long as I don't drop it. I think I was telling you, I come down the stairs and I first got it. My dog left a chew toy or something on the step.
Yeah.
Went on my butt and on a ride. I'm holding this thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it was only came in close to maybe 10 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
Right around there. It wasn't too heavy either.
No.
That's great.
There's not a lot in there, but it's a technical piece of equipment. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been a great podcast.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time.
We're going on almost an hour and a half now,
Yeah.
but that's a good thing. You had a lot to say, and there's a lot to learn. We learned about this piece of equipment, learned about the hockey marathon as well.
I appreciate that.
I'm sure a lot of people may not have known about that, so that's a great thing. I would recommend everybody look that up. Would you say marathon?
Hockeymarathon.com.
Hockeymarathon.com. That's easy to remember as well, which is helpful.
You got her, so.
Right, well, I'm sure as for contributing to the cause, you can do all of that through the website.
Yep, you bet. Yeah.
Terrific, right? Well, we'll have to look into that ourselves as well as anybody watching. It'd be great if we could all pitch in to help.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 raffle. I think you could probably find a link there. I think that may get as high as $1 million.
Terrific.
So everybody likes a 50-50 ticket. I could use $500,000 myself. So
I don't blame you. Yeah. Everybody and their dog could use. Yeah, could use a good amount of money like that.
Well, I appreciate you having me over here into the bunker.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course, John. Of course. It's been nice having you. As I said, you're our first guest in the new space here. It's been about, I think, 6 months or so since our last guest. Since we've moved here, we've been just doing some podcasts in-house, essentially, getting to know some of the crews and things like that. But to have another business associated with the podcast again it's refreshing.
Well, let us know what's coming down the pike, and we'll tune in, and if we can share it to my audience or our Instagram group,
we'll of course. Yeah, we'll
do what
certainly
we can to help you out. So
be releasing those details here in the near future. So we've got a lot of people to choose from, and just deciding who we're going to bring on next. We're not very too sure of at this moment.
Oh, good.
But can be sure that you will see us streaming live next Thursday at 3 p.m. again. Not sure exactly who we will have on, but it'll be worth listening to, right?
Good.
Let's ask the magic ball here, the magic 8 ball. Okay. Is our next guest going to be exciting? Okay, we'll see. That's kind of a broad question, but hey, let's see what it says, all right? Here we go. Signs point to yes.
Oh.
The magic ball said it. Well, be sure to tune in.
Awesome.
Next Thursday at 3 p.m. Well, again.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Thanks a lot, John.
Green beer time.
Yeah, time for green beer for sure. I'm sure you can go to any pub in town and find it. If not, you go over to the Co-op or Safeway and get yourself some green food coloring.
There you go.
There's Guinness specials today too.
Guinness specials?
Ooh.
Terrific. Right. Okay, well, as for our viewers, thanks for tuning in. Happy St. Patrick's Day. John says go and drink some green beer. I know I plan on it. I don't know about the rest of you. But, hey, thanks for tuning in. And, again, don't forget, we are doing the Mystery Word Challenge. We've said it a few times. Make sure you comment your answers on whichever platform you're listening through. And we'll be sure to select a winner. Remember, if you win, you get to choose one of 10 bags, and one of which has $500 cash. So make sure to guess your word and leave your comment below. We'll see. Anyways, 3 p.m. next Thursday. Tune in. And in the meantime, take care, everybody. Take care.